So it's taken me a little while to get around to reviewing FilmPack 8 from DxO. This is a brand new release. It's been out for a month, I think, now. I wanted to have a really good look at it because I reviewed it last year, and although I enjoyed using it, I must admit that I haven't used it since. There are two things that I would really have to say at this point. The first is that for my type of editing, I have often on this channel extolled the virtues of editing with intent, of having a goal, and your editing workflow moves you towards that goal. And it's about pre-visualization, and it's a process that starts when you take the photograph and ends up with the finished picture. And I'm a landscape photographer, so you know, this works well for me. It's not terribly stylized. I don't take, you know, my pictures are more true to life than they are stylistic impressions. And that is the way that I edit. So for me, film looks, LUTs and so on are not really where I'm at as a photographer. I have to be completely upfront about this. And that was always sort of led my impression of applications like FilmPack. My impression of it as a standalone application has not really changed. It is led by looks and feels, and DxO have introduced 15 new film stock looks, and I can't criticise the quality of the film stock emulation. It's superb, but it is nonetheless a browser-led experience. So it's a case of I have my photograph and I think, well, this would probably look quite nice as a sort of vintage style. Let's have a look and see where it's going to go. And it's a matter of stepping through all the looks that you can find, and there are a lot of them, several hundred. All of us started off in that mode. So, you know, our first experiences of using an editing application is, let's have a look and see what this slider does. And you pull it over to the furthest extent so it's really obvious to you what the slider does. That's how we all started. But it's a journey, and I'm at a particular place in my journey. You know, other people may be in different places. So I'm trying to give a really even-handed review here. So what I'm doing in this video is I'm starting off with FilmPack 8 as a standalone application, and then we move to FilmPack 8 integrated with PhotoLab, and then we move to FilmPack 8 integrated with Photoshop. Now, what I will flag ahead of time here is that this appears to be a fork in the road. So FilmPack on its own is a completely different experience to the experience of using FilmPack capability within another program. And I think DxO have done a really fantastic job actually of integrating it with PhotoLab and with Photoshop, because it brings it right into territory that I'm really familiar with, and it allows me to edit in the way that I want to edit, i.e. I have a vision and I can use the controls that are well integrated into the workflow of PhotoLab, use those to bring me closer to that vision, and we'll see more of that in detail. With respect to Photoshop, which is the last piece I analyse, or last bit I review, the integration is very similar to the way that the Nik collection is integrated into Photoshop, i.e. if you use smart objects, you can go in and revisit that edit and change it completely regardless of the rest of the edits that you may have done in Photoshop. So it manifests as a layer, and you can go back into that layer and change it as a non-destructive workflow. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so when we open FilmPack up, we get straight into what is effectively the equivalent of the library module in PhotoLab. So you're shown a tree structure of your file system. You can choose from multiple from your hard disk, or you can choose from portable drives that are attached. Okay, and it's simply a matter of navigating your file system exactly the same as PhotoLab and choosing a picture. So let's start off with this one. Okay, and here we have the picture rendered in the preview window, and running from the top you've got save. You can save your settings, so we can have a preset that we could apply later. We can compare the image to the original image or to another image that's nominated as your reference image. You can set your reference image here, and you can do side-by-side preview of it, so you can choose it as you go through. Zoom in 1:1. Modify the crop, change the orientation of it, level the horizon. This is your browser, so you can browse back through the images without going back to the directory display. And these give you various levels of controls that you may or may not want to see. So the histogram is important in my view. So if we're looking at the presets, we'll have a quick run through here. You've got 333 available presets, including 15 new film renderings. So we'll go into cinematic films here, and I can choose from various look and feels, and it will pop up a little explainer here of what's going on in the picture, and we can navigate through here as well, so that will change it to the next one on the list and the next one on the list, and so on. If we just go to the teal and orange one, which is a sort of popular favourite. Now this has been filtered on cinematic films. You can see here we can filter it on colour, we can filter it on black and white, legacy film. We can use designer presets here. So you've got a number of presets here. And these are very much looks. From this viewpoint, what we're looking at is a different kind of application. We're looking at an application which is very oriented towards presets. And the presets are very faithful to the actual original look of the film stock, or if it wasn't film stock, some of the historical ones go back prior to straightforward film stock. So if we look at these other modes, if we look at Time Machine, this is very much, I don't know how many people remember Microsoft Encarta, but this always reminds me of that application. This is very diverting. It's actually a history of film that you can run through. Okay, and it will split it up by dates, and you can simply run through the various looks and feels that were applied, or that could be applied, that have been based on historical precedent. So moving up to 1910 here, and you get the way that this works. So we can close that out. Now let's have a look at Time Warp, which is a new introduction here. Now what Time Warp does is take you through, using your picture, take you through what that picture might have looked like in a historical context, which is again very diverting. I mean, it's a really nice way to while away the time, and you can choose any one of these and do apply and close to apply this to your picture. And we might want to apply this one, so we can apply and close. And here it is applied to the picture. Okay, if we just go back into that for a second, we can switch into the Ageify look, and this allows us to basically apply an aging algorithm to the film, making it more or less distressed. Again, this is very much look and feel. This is not really an application which responds well to the way that I process personally, because I always start with a view of what I want the picture to look like. But certainly I find this very diverting. And now what I can do is just compare that to the original and put them side by side. And then I've got a way that I can compare constantly back to the original. Now I can go into Customize, and you've really got a very competent picture processing application here. But if we turn on Development, you can see here I can change the exposure, I can alter the highlights, alter the midtones, drop those shadows a bit deeper, go down to colour, saturate it, desaturate it, and vibrancy, which I'm always quite keen on. And you'll be able to see in here which of these sliders have been changed by the program. Here we have luminosity masks, and a reminder, if it needs to be made, that if you buy a license for FilmPack, you will be able to see the luminosity mask appearing in PhotoLab 9. And that is something that's really well worth looking at. If we want to add a luminosity mask, we can see here, this refers to the Ansel Adams zone system. So this is the whitest of the whites, and you can see immediately the lights blown out, the car headlights down here, another light here, light down there. If we go down to the darks, you can go right down to the real blacks, but you can isolate any range in order to work simply on that range. So these are your controls simply affecting the masks. We can go down here, we've got contrast, which we can apply universally, globally to the picture. Micro contrast and fine contrast. White balance, hue, saturation, lightness, tone curve. Let's have a look at that. And your tone curve adjustment here is taken from the presets that we've applied. And we can do frames, textures, apply light leaks, look at vignetting, look at creative blurring, and so on. In standalone modes, this is very much about browsing through the looks and feels, getting a feel for what will suit your picture, and rendering that out in the end. Okay, now let's have a look at how it integrates with PhotoLab, because there's been a fair amount of work done on this integration. This is far in advance of what it was last year, so we'll use the same selection of pictures, and let's open up a different picture. So we've got this picture, it's the same spot, this is straight out of the camera. In your tool list, scroll down, you'll find you've got FilmPack. And what FilmPack contains is pretty much the whole range of development tools that I just demonstrated to you in FilmPack. So we've got the slider here. You can use a number of presets, or you can create a new preset. Okay, so we'll reset that, take that back to normal. Here, for example, you've got an approximation of a sort of movie orange and teal look, and you can, I mean, simply by playing here in the RGB curve, you can create quite a lot of interesting effect. If we come down here, this is where we start to choose from the presets. So if I go to cinematic film here, there's a number of renderings off the bat. I can go for my teal and orange and make that slightly less intense. That's slightly better to my eyes. And here I've got my filters and my controls. And here I have access to DxO FilmPack Time Machine. Now, Time Warp is not available for some reason within PhotoLab. I'm not quite sure whether that's a forthcoming improvement or what it is, but dropping back down through here, we can apply filters to make that a nice slightly warmer tone to it. You can increase the density of the filter or decrease it. Apply some vignetting. This is, to my mind, this is much more about film. This is about film processing. This is about visualizing where you want to get to and going for it. It's much easier to follow the kind of workflow that I'm used to by using the tools within PhotoLab. I can go back out to Time Machine if I want to. I can go here. It's exactly the same piece, and you can see how, you know, that might look. It's exactly the same as it was in the previous demonstration. So this is actually the way that I prefer to use this. It also gives me access within the appropriate areas to extended ranges. So here we've got this cinematic film with the teal and orange look. You've got your same piece here, and you've obviously got access to all of the same filters and so on that we had before. There's your grain filter. If we take our film, this is exactly the same list as it was in the within the FilmPack sub-menu. Here, of course, you've got your luminosity mask, and these are the controls that we can apply within these masks. So for me, this is a much more rewarding experience than FilmPack on its own. I think they've done a good job of integrating the tools. You've actually got your entire processing environment here that you can apply to the picture and bring in the tools as you want them. If we duplicate this layer, go to the layer menu, And here we can choose Convert to Smart Object. Okay, so now we can see that this is a smart object. Now let's go again and start doing some work on this. I'll choose this preset. And what I want to do is to apply a couple more layers. So let's just apply a curves layer up here, just for the sake of it. So we'll make that a little bit darker there, and boost those, get a nice sort of orangey glow. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go back and change this. It allows us to do that. If we go to the customize thing, let's have a look here. Brighten that up, just mitigate those a little bit, bring up the mid-tones, bring up some of that shadowy. Let's put a light leak in so that we can see how that might actually manifest. Okay, so there's our light leak. Okay, now if we go back, save and return to Photoshop, and we turn this back on, you can see that I've been able to change this. So this is non-destructive now, and this is fantastic. Go back in again, choose a different preset. Let's go with the vintage black and white preset. Okay, and save and return, and there we go. And now I can apply my curves layer, and that will apply to the new preset. And that, I think, is a really good innovation. This really gives us a lot of power within Photoshop to really work this picture. Okay guys, so to summarize, I think it's probably been fairly clear. For my style of editing, I much prefer using FilmPack within another application. So I'll happily use it in Photoshop, I'll happily use it in PhotoLab. I think they've done a great job of integrating it, and I think for people coming to the application afresh, if you're coming from an Adobe direction, then I think this is a great application now. I think it works really well. If you're coming from a direction where you want to browse, you're interested in film looks, and you want to browse film looks, then this application is practically unbeatable. The way that they've set up a timeline so that you can browse through the history of photography and match a look to your to your image is unique as far as I'm aware in the marketplace. I don't think there is another way to do it, and the new capability they've introduced within that experience also is fantastic. You're able to age, apply aging effects to your film, choose your film stock, apply the aging effects. It's much, much easier now to get to a point where that you may have pre-visualized before, and I think so. On the whole, I would say, given that I'm not usually predisposed towards looks and feel led applications, I would give this a strong 85% out of 100, and the 15% that's missing is simply my reluctance to change my editing workflow to suit an application. However, balancing that, there is the possibilities of using this within an existing workflow in Photoshop. So all good. So if you're still with me, guys, thanks very much for putting up with me for another 20 minutes. I think If you've enjoyed the video, please give us a tick down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The channel offers a mixture of gear reviews, software reviews, and photo technique. And hopefully we'll see you next week when there will be another video. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye now.